Hi everybody, it's good to see you again. Welcome back. We are going to make a very veggie lentil bake today. Another one of my great vegetarian, where'd that come from? Vegetarian recipes that are pantry friendly. This one happens to incorporate quite a few fresh veggies, which is nice. So let's get started. I have got the recipe right here for you. Very veggie lentil bake. It is a British recipe, so you will note that it calls for a courgette, which in Britain is a zucchini. So yeah, just disregard that. That's what we're using, zucchini. And the recipe also calls for lentils and rice to be cooked together, which I've gone ahead and done ahead of time. But I wanted to point out that the recipe calls for red lentils, which are these. Really important that you use the red lentils because they break down. Green lentils retain their shape. So I like to use green lentils in place of hamburger for a lot of meals. But for this recipe, red lentils is what you want to make. Because you're gonna cook the lentils and the rice in a veggie stock, which I've already said, and it turns it into something that looks like this. It's like a porridge. So that's what you're after, which is why you can see you need the red lentils. So I've already done most of the chopping. I just wanted to show you, first of all, the leek. Lovely green leeks that we've got, green and white leeks. You basically, to work on them, you just need to slice them in nice skinny little strips like this. Sometimes they can be quite dirty in the middle. If that's the case, throw them into a strainer, break them up, swish them around. Because the reason that they're white, the farmers plant the leeks like this, and then as they grow, they mound the dirt up the sides of the lentils so that there's no sun. And that's what keeps them white, because the sun is what makes the chlorophyll, which is what makes it green. And you don't want green lentils or leeks, you want white leeks, so you keep piling dirt up around the tops and that gets them nice and white. But that's also why they can be quite dirty inside. So there's our shredded leek. We're gonna put that in there. And we're also going to put in a few mushrooms. Recipe calls for 5 or 6 mushrooms. We're not mushroom fans in this house, so I'm only gonna put in a couple, just because it'll give it some nice texture. It will give the recipe a bit of umami, which is it's one of the senses, like taste or spicy, sweet, salty, sour. Umami just gives things a depth of flavor, and mushrooms are really good for that. So we're just gonna dice it into as small as I can get it so that it gets all chopped up and we don't really notice them because, like I said, we're just not mushroom people in this house. So we're gonna dice those up super small. Everything else is kind of diced up into about a 1/4 inch dice, all the other ingredients. But the mushrooms, we're going little on that. So they're gonna go in there. And then we are gonna head over to the stove. So we've got zucchini, red pepper, leeks, mushrooms. Delicious. And here we go. Get some heat on underneath the frying pan. I like to get my pan a little bit warm before I add the oil. That sometimes can help minimize the amount of sticking that happens. So if you're using a non-stick frying pan, you don't want to go too hot with your flame because the coating on them can give off a gas, which is kind of nasty. So, but they're designed in such a way that medium heat should be all you need. So that's, and also if you go hotter than that, you break down the coating even faster and then they don't last. So here goes our olive oil. I'm going to throw in the zucchini. All nicely diced. You can see the size of it. That's about a 1/4 inch dice. Okay, there's that. Then we're going to put in our peppers, our bell peppers. Now I chose red. I prefer red, yellow, orange to green. They're sweeter. Really, they're just peppers that have stayed on the vine longer. So, and are riper. So those are going to go in. Throw in our leeks. You can chop the leeks if you want. I happen to like them in rings. I think it gives you a little extra visual interest, which is always nice, because you do eat with your eyes, don't forget. And last but not least, the mushrooms. So we're going to get this started. And here it's sizzling away. Now we're going to season it with a little bit of salt. Salt's important, so it gives your food flavor. Salt, a little bit of fresh ground pepper. It's always good to salt as you go rather than salting at the end. Helps you control the amount of salt that goes in there. And you want to keep tasting as you go too, so that you know what your food is going to taste like. You don't want to cook it all and then taste it right at the end and go, ew, this is nasty. I need salt. So, look at all those beautiful veggies in there. Nice colors, textures. We're going to let that cook away. Break down the leeks a little bit. You shouldn't have to saute this for more than about 5 or 6 minutes. You just want to get everything starting to soften. Because this is going to get baked in the oven. But this just gets it started and helps the flavors blend. While we're letting that cook, I'll show you this cool hack that I found. Sometimes, you know, when you're working on your stove, your cutting board can, or on your counter, your cutting board can slide around, which can be quite dangerous. So mine is quite secure. I've put elastic bands on the either end of my cutting board. I saw this in a magazine. I went, oh, that works. And lo and behold, set it down, and now my cutting board is stable, which is great. It doesn't slip, it doesn't slide around. I was very impressed with that hack. It actually worked. Let's get the, this is the baking dish we're going to use. 9x9 baking dish. We're going to put a little bit of butter in that so that it doesn't stick. I'm just going to use my fingers. Smear this around. Cooking oil will work. Cooking spray if you've got it. Give this a good... The recipe doesn't say to do this, but I think it's a good idea. That's just me. Get my hands all washed off. That's coming along nicely over there. Those veggies look good. Okay. Oh yeah. You can see the mushrooms are starting to release their liquid. A little extra bit there. As are the zucchini. You can see it starting to change. Softening up a little bit. The leeks are getting all limp. Which is good. We want that. Okay. So I'm going to get a big bowl, because we've got to mix this all together. Go with bright orange today. I got these bowls at the superstore and I love the colors in them. They're so pretty. Okay, and we're going to dump our our lentils and rice into this big bowl. And we're going to add a little bit of paprika. And something else I'm going to put in, which is not in your recipe, but I use it all the time, called ahi. You will, available at the grocery store. This is a tomato, vinegar, cilantro condiment that a friend of mine makes. It's just so good. The recipe actually calls for a little bit of cayenne pepper, so we're going to use ahi instead. That's got a bit of a kick to it, a little bit of heat. So we're going to mix that in there. You can find that at Safeway carries it. So we're going to mix that in. Get it all mixed up with the rice and the lentils. And we should be good. So we're going to pop this, bring this over, mix all this up. There. Delicious. Combine everything. Now this is where you want to taste again, because you are at the stage now where everything's going to go into the pan and get baked. So you want to make sure your flavor is where you want it to be. So I'll grab some salt and pepper. It may or may not need that. Give this a little taste. That's good. That does not need any salt. You get so much flavor from all the different veggies that are in there. It's delicious. Plus the fact that I cooked the lentils and the rice in vegetable stock, which gave it some more flavor there. It's all about adding layers, right? Depth of flavor. You build with your ingredients. So now we're going to spread half of the mixture in the bottom of the dish. We're going to sprinkle it with some cheese. Now, clearly this is not going to be a vegan dish. It is vegetarian. If you wanted to make it vegan, there's lots and lots of really good vegan cheeses on the market. Or you could just sprinkle it with nutritional yeast, which is also really cheesy tasting, really good for you. An amazing source of B vitamins. You wouldn't get the gooey meltiness, but you would get the delicious flavor. So that's gonna go, spread that around. Okay. Pop the last of the cheese on the top, and then it goes in the oven for 25 to 30 minutes so that it's all heated through, the cheese is all melty on top. And there you have it. Another fabulous vegetarian meal. So hope you enjoy it. Take care. Bye-bye.